we submitted our applications, and I recall very well, Honorable Chair, for the record. At first, I was reluctant even to apply for this job, given the negativity and all these things around this position. But at the cyber cafe, where I normally photocopy my things and my papers, even for my work in South Africa, the young people in that cyber cafe, Peter, Purity, and Kizito, they are the people who urged me to put in my application, because looking at my documents and having conversations with me over tea, they thought and they felt that you have what it takes to lead this country in this institution. And at first I thought maybe I should just apply for the commission and, you know, the hot seat, leave it alone. But they actually went and submitted the documents both for the chair and for member. So when I was in South Africa, they sent me a screenshot. We've submitted the documents. And later on, when I was on my way to, I think, Angola or something, I saw my name in the newspapers that I've been shortlisted. I honored the...
No, so it is not you who applied?
I submitted the documents. I signed.
I think that's very important.
Yes.
Are you saying you did not submit your own application for this position?
Right, Kisito, the one who photocopies for me. So I bound everything, and I asked them to submit once everything was in order.
So they submitted the documents for you?
They just submitted the documents.
You had applied yourself, you had signed the documents, etc.
Yes.
So let's carry on.
Actually, I have a copy of my application.
No problem.
With the documents.
Okay.
So let's move on to the process. Yes. Yeah. Actually, basically all these conspiracy theories around maybe being pushed around by certain interest groups to apply. I just wanted, for the record, for Kenyans to know that ordinary Kenyans are equally concerned, and they felt maybe they can add me to apply. So I went through interviews. They were televised. I gave my account for why I should be considered for this position, and I think the rest of the process proceeded as per the law that governs recommendation, nomination, and approval. And that's why I am here, Honorable Chair. So I would like to rest that matter at that point, and then to proceed to answer other questions, including the warning that 2027 might be a bloodshed if and when we as IBC mess around with the people's votes. I think, Honorable Chair, this is a very uncomfortable discussion, but also very necessary, because those of us who have been in this country long enough, we know what we have gone through from 1992. At least that one I can recall. I'm sure most of you were there, maybe 1988, and participated in these processes. We've had a pattern where every election has had some incidences of violence. And of course, in 2007, we completely lapsed into a crisis of such big proportion and magnitude that a repeat of such a scenario would not be something that we would wish for this country. So as IBC, we will work very hard with other stakeholders, including the security agencies. We would work with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. We will work with partners in civil society, the media, to ensure that as we move towards this 2027, that we will put in place measures to prevent electoral-related violence. And Honorable Chair, during my tenure and my work at UNDP, most of the work that I did was around the recovery from the 2007 post-election and working with national government institutions, including the IBC, for programs that ensured that we had the 2010 referendum that went peaceful, the 2012-2013 campaigns and subsequent elections went successfully. And there are those specific measures that we put in place that, given this opportunity, I'll be able to bring to the IBC and to the nation, so that then we work on electoral violence prevention. We can have a robust program on that.
Just before you go on, Honorable Karemba, you had some rider to put to that very fast?
I am not satisfied by how you have settled the question that I asked, because I feel that he is now answering. You know,
She has not come to you as yet.
Oh, okay.
This is still the
Those are for three from me.
Okay.
Apart from, you've talked about putting into place systems to prevent post-election violence. Will you also put in place systems to prevent election malpractices? Because we start with the malpractices first, then we go to the violence, so that we actually ensure that we have a free, fair, credible, justifiable election, such that nobody can challenge it. And if there is to be a challenge, should it be through violence, or how do we challenge? Because every person has a right to challenge election results. With written violence, or how do we challenge when there is grievances regarding an election?
Okay, thank you.
Ogata, Araida? Okay.
Yes, on that. One, he mentioned of having been pushed by even Babas to apply. Has he fully disclosed who others pushed him to apply? Number two, he has again mentioned that he lives in Joburg. Can the nominee assure Kenyans that if he assumes his position, he will not banco an election and take his comfort in Joburg, because Kenyans have no other place to go? Thank you.
Chairman, mine is just as a point of order. Chairman, you know, you gave the nominee 20 minutes to answer. Only on your questions, we are now, I think we've taken 9 minutes.
Let's be faster. I'll make sure it's faster than that. First and foremost, quickly in one sentence each, defray the fears we have, then we move on to the questions substantive that were asked. They are not as elaborate as you're making it.
Yeah, okay.
They're just being a little bit prolonging.
Okay.
I don't want to use that other one we use in law. Let's suggest prolonging. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we be faster than that?
I think what I need to assure the committee and the nation at large is that once confirmed as chair, and I take that oath of office, the moment I take that oath of office, I will know I have crossed just from being a mere citizen, enjoying rights in this country, but I will immediately become a duty bearer as the chairperson of the IBC. And as a duty bearer, it's my responsibility to ensure that this country has free, fair, transparent, credible, but more importantly, peaceful elections. And through that, I know, Chair, our election is highly regulated. From the constitutional provisions to the legislative provisions to regulations, there is an elaborate process through which we conduct our elections. And as the new chair and commission, we will ensure that internally we put our house in order. That if there are any challenges that the post-election evaluation report identifies, if there are any challenges that our partners and stakeholders, for example, through the political parties liaison committee, if there are those challenges that they identify, it's our responsibility as duty bearers to put in place measures to rectify those, so that then we perfect our system. Chair, also, in terms of those incidences of malpractices that sometimes make the system appear not to be working, I think Kenyans, I would ask us to trust that in this new IBC, when we identify cases of malpractices, we should be able to punish those. We should be able to take action in terms of working with the relevant government institutions to investigate and bring those perpetrators to book. So, Chair, I think that is the much.
Will you run away to South Africa if you baggo the election and you leave us fighting one another?
Chair, this is my country and I love it very much. That is why I came back, and that is why I want to continue serving it in this.
Why are you working in South Africa?
That is I'm working currently with African Union, which you know we are member state, and we're also doing things to actually, for example, the programs that we are doing is to support countries emerging from crisis and conflicts and that are going through governance transitions like Gabon and Mozambique and stuff like that. So it's equally important work.
You manage in South Africa itself, which seems to have its own peculiar problems with races.
Yes, of course, there are challenges of governance there as well. But for me, when if called upon to serve my country, this is my priority, and it will be my pride.
Thank you very much. In the remaining 10 minutes, please take the other questions very fast. They were precise.
It's a very important question.
Yeah, but for purposes of that transparency of the electoral process itself, how much are you willing to spend, or rather commit yourselves into technology? Because a country like India with 800 million voters, by 5:36 you already know the results. It's nothing. It's you can get that all over. You can buy those packages of that technology, and it's the cheapest thing when you compare it to the kind of cost we have in Kenya. But that way you can even be looking at the screen and seeing how well a party or an individual or a candidate is doing. How much are you willing to invest in that technology for purposes of that?
Thank you, Honorable Farah. I think technology, our elections have come of age, from the Mulolongo to the secret ballot to the manual, and now to the integration between manual and electronic. What we can do is to take it even higher, to look at what are the emerging technologies, to look at what is out there. So my role as a leader of that commission is to sit down with the experts to understand what is new. I've seen even some young Kenyans circulating some apps that they have come up with a system where you can do electronic election monitoring from your phone. So we need to bring all these actors together, our young, vibrant youth, the tech companies, and of course working under the guidance of this parliament to be able to see how can we up our game. What is new? How can we improve things from 2022 to 2027?
Question number 2.
Yes, it's a very important question, Honorable Chair, from my learned senior, Honorable Otiende Amolo, MP for Ariada, and I think, and Honorable Daud, regarding my suitability. I would like to, when we finish law school, for those of us who went to law school, you finish your first degree. Normally, you can choose to go to the Kenya School of Law and to pursue a career.
Law school is which one?
To the Kenya School of Law.
Which is law school in Kenya? The School of Law or the university you go to?
You finish the university, you go to the Kenya School of Law under the Council for Legal Education. And then once you're admitted as an advocate, you can decide to go to court and be a practicing lawyer advocate in court, or you can decide to pursue your career in academics. And so for me, when I finished my law school and I got admitted, I'd worked already for 1 year in a law firm. And then I worked, as I mentioned to you, in Parliament. And part of our work, which I was responsible for, was to do research into policies and legislations from when Kenya became independent. So we compiled that, what you call parliamentary policy and legislative briefs. So that's work I did for roughly 2 years. After that, I worked at the National Commission on Human Rights, doing legal work. My work was legislative drafting, research, policy, and a very important role that I think maybe most people did not appreciate in this country was that my role was to look at legislative proposals, and from the AG before they go to Parliament, my role was to infuse international human rights standards into our legislation. So I did that work for 3 years, and honorable members, when I proceeded to join the United Nations, The work of the United Nations, as I've said, is to serve and to work for national government institutions with them. And my specific role was also centered on providing leadership at the Kenya.
As a point of order, because the nominee is answering my question, I'd like the nominee, you have a copy of the Constitution, to open Article 166, 3B, so that please answer that question with reference to that section very shortly.
Justifying your great academic achievements.
Honorable Chair,
are you qualified to be the chairperson?
Yes, Honorable Chair, because I have spent over 15 years doing legal work, mainly in the field of human rights. And last year, Honorable Chair, for the record, I was actually shortlisted and I did interviews for the High Court judge, for which I was not successful, but that's when I continued.
The requirement is not spending 15 years doing some work. What exactly is the requirement? For you to be chairman, you must be? What does the law require you to be?
Article 166, 3B.
The first with what is your requirement
specific
after the constitutional provision where we have IBC 88? The chairperson must be. After that, tell us whether you're qualified under the two provisions, 88 and 166.
Chair and members, I am qualified because I'm a legal practitioner in the field of human rights and human rights law, with specialization in international human rights.
Does 88 say a person qualifies to be chairperson if you're qualified to be a judge of the Supreme Court? I don't know, to be a judge of the Supreme Court. Correct?
Chair, he has Article 166.
Yes,
look at
so from there, go to Article 166, who is a judge of the Supreme Court, so that you can tie the two together and say, I'm qualified because Supreme Court, judge, Supreme Court requires. It's over.
Chair, I think in terms of Article 1663, it talks about at least 15 years experience as a Superior Court judge, which I have not been a Superior Court judge, at least 15 years experience as a distinguished academic, judicial, legal practitioner, or such experience in other relevant legal field. And I think that's where I fall to Honorable Chair.
That's where you fall. You don't, do you think, or you actually confirm?
I'm saying I confirm. That's where I fall.
Thank you. All right, let's move to the next. We have to move on. See,
which is that relevant field?
In the relevant field. Which is the relevant field now here?
International human rights law.
International human rights.
Yes.
All right. The field it doesn't have to apply. It's a relevant field, like a